for a new and different perspective every week on LEGO sets, news, media, and more. You're listening to the BCC Podcast. It is Wednesday, November 11th of 2020, and you're listening to episode 240 of the BCC Podcast. I'm LQ, and joining me today is Molaris. Ford.
Good evening, everybody.
Orion.
We were prematurely celebrating the death of YouTube, and then magically it just appeared back from the abyss. So,
Yeah,
yay!
We're gonna have to go pre-record, but it looks like last minute we can go live again.
And Hayley was just bragging that she had crashed YouTube.
Yes, and our guest today is Hayley from the TTV podcast.
Hi, everybody.
What was that about you crashing YouTube?
Well, you said that I was
Jinx
like, having guests usually causes more problems. I was like, don't worry, I'll cause as many problems as I can. I already took down YouTube, but then I put it back up.
Yeah, they put it back up right then, just to contradict you.
I know, YouTube's like, oh, you want to take credit
Hayley
for
from
this? Nuh-uh. Well, it's good to talk to you all.
Yeah, it's good. Like we were saying before we started recording, is we have actually interacted with Hayley before. Well, we're on this Discord server, but like over voice. I forget if I've even ever been on a call with you since I saw you in
we've
20.
fist bumped in real
I'm
life.
sure
before.
we've been on call before. I've popped in with y'all before.
Yeah,
I think we did.
I know you've done it with
Jackbox.
people, but I don't know if I was there or not specifically.
Oh,
That's true. You had lots of stuff going on.
Yeah,
last
because
night.
I've been very busy with work and school full time, so
How many members of GTV have we had on now? Have we had Ven on?
no,
feel like
not
we
had
have.
Ven. We've had Met. You're probably thinking of Meso actually, because you constantly get them
No,
confused
I
for some
I
reason.
swear, mess. So I wouldn't confuse you with Ven. I swear. Hey, don't worry. LJ doesn't take that much attention away from the rest of you guys. I promise.
Yeah, I know we've had
He's the tip of
Envy.
the iceberg.
Yeah, we've had Envy on as well, because Envy is like one of the first people in TTV we knew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was our in.
He was the bridge.
I mean, there's others too that aren't TTV members now,
True.
but I think that's
Not Jonathan Dwan, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying
I
to think.
wasn't
Oh
gonna
yeah,
say much,
Takuma.
but no.
Takuma's been on too.
Takuma, all right.
Right.
Trying to think.
All
Yeah,
right.
most people in that server have been on. But today we are going to be talking about Ninjago. It's been a while since we've been into it, since the release schedule this year has been so awful. So me,
You're
Mal,
telling me.
Ford finally finished everything. I've actually been caught up to Master of the Mountain for months now, but hadn't finished seeing that because the only way to get it previous to it going on Netflix was to go through the Cartoon Network app, and to get that on my TV I had to hook up my laptop, which I leave elsewhere during the work week. So
Fair
we
enough.
finally finished that. What was it, Monday?
Yeah, we just finished it. Yeah, probably Monday there.
And Ford, you finished it like yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah, so I only recently found out that it was on Netflix, like maybe I think it was like Thursday or Friday.
I
or
think that's
maybe
around
the
when
last
it went
one.
on Netflix. So
Yeah, I think it was like around like Wednesday or Thursday was when it went up. And
Mhm.
so and I hadn't watched since like the end of Hunted. Okay. So I just
gosh.
took the entire weekend to just like catch
Just
up.
to watch Ninjago. That
See,
sounds like
yeah.
a
And now-
fantastic weekend.
and now, Ford, do you finally believe me that March of the Oni is extremely underrated?
It's so good.
It is really good.
Like,
Yeah, I agree
whoa.
with
That was their like kind of
That was like
throw
the
at
bag
Warner
moment.
Brothers.
Okay.
Yeah. That was like, oh, Warner Brothers wants to make a movie. We're gonna make a movie, which they did re-edit it to make like a
Mhm.
feature length, thing.
I don't
but
think you can
it
get
is
that
really
version anywhere
good.
now, though. I think you can only get the episodic version.
Yeah, you can
It's
only
still
get the
pretty
episodic.
good though.
It is still pretty good. It has. Yeah, well, we'll get into that later though.
All
but
right, you
it
haven't seen
is
it.
pretty. It is. Pretty
Yeah, I
good.
haven't watched any of Ninjago. I tried when I was a kid when it first came out, and I didn't like it, and I never picked it up.
You watched the pilot that one time where I told you
Ninja
give me your
never
brief
quit,
thoughts
Orion.
on it, and then you wrote like a 3-page essay for some reason, not
No,
understanding
I
what I
was
asked
super
you.
bored. And you were asking us to all write our thoughts
And most
on
of it was like how much you hated Knuckle and Cruncha. There's like a page and a half just on that alone.
Yeah, well, I don't
Let me go first. Let me go first, please. Oh, please.
It was annoying. It was like having at least like 15 golems on screen at once. Not, I don't know. It was a cacophony or whatever, of just. Well, yeah, I don't know.
So yeah,
I'll
Ryan
disagree
hasn't
with
seen any
whatever your
Ninjago
opinions
content
are.
in almost 10 years.
Oh boy.
But
Yeah,
it's for
you're missing
kids,
out.
man. It's for kids, man.
Ah, that's where you are mistaken.
Well, now that it's on Netflix, well, no,
It's always been on
I
Netflix.
See, you have to.
share it.
Ninjago is a build. It's really cheesy
no, don't
at the
tell Ryan
start.
that.
Build.
It's a build. You kind of have to. It's a saga. It starts off very simple, and then
Is
the
it
more you
cinematic?
watch, the more it's very cinematic. Season 8, which came out after the movie, is like some of the darkest Ninjago we've ever gotten. I
Season
mean,
8 is the
it was
best.
dark. It was so good, and
Is
they
it
have
like as dark as Batman v Superman? Because that's where like my limits are at. I won't really
it's
go
darker than that. It is darker than that.
Well, I was gonna say since it's on Netflix now, I was gonna like, hey, maybe I'll probably actually get around to watching the whole thing now since there's so much ease of access.
Yeah.
But I have a shared Netflix account with my family that's run by my mom, and she canceled it because of cuties. So
Oh,
now I'm just like,
no.
do I cancel my HBO Max subscription and get Netflix to watch Ninjago, or do I keep watching Rick and Morty? I'm not sure.
Well, I think you can still watch like
Finished Rick and Morty?
Up to Hunted on Amazon Prime.
Well, I mean, I already looked. I can just watch the whole thing for free with no subscription on the website. So
there is a website. What was that one that's always saying like better movies than Netflix for free? Because they actually have Ninjago up to like season 8. What is that site? It's not a pirating site. It's like a legit.
No, it's okay. Ninjago is used to it at this point.
Yeah, no, like, I don't feel any sympathy for Ninjago being pirated because they won't even tell us when it's going to come out.
No, that's Cartoon Network.
I know.
Cartoon Network sucks.
Yes,
I hate them. They're gross.
I had so much hope.
They waited 6 months to air Prime Empire.
Yeah, that was awful. And then like I had like hope because when the Fire chapter came out, we were getting like weekly Ninjago episodes again, and it was great. And I actually kept up with it the entire time. And then just the Ice chapter never came. I don't think they ever aired that actually, did they? It was just like went straight to the app.
They did it in like I think a really rapid pace, and then they just
Wait, didn't Cartoon Network originally have Infinity Train, but then they lost it to HBO Max?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
They did have Infinity.
Yeah,
Train
they
at first.
did.
Yeah.
It's such a shame, like how Cartoon Network just airs things these days. They used to be real tight about it.
Well, they really care about episodic episodes. So like anything that they can just drop, like they're very lazy when it comes to scheduling. They want episodes they can just drop whenever. Like thinking Teen Titans Go. And Ninjago comes around and it's serialized, so they're like, so we have to do this like at a weekly basis. So I have to have effort to like make my scheduling. Yeah.
Heck yeah,
So,
Cartoon Network.
It's almost like they never had the
Community.
original Teen
So
Titans, which
and
was exactly the same way.
Yeah. I also think that's the reason Ninjago's was it episode length got cut in half.
Yeah, I think they were
Cartoon
hoping...
Network put too much pressure on Lego. And
then they didn't even keep up with it after they cut.
Honestly though, I feel like it's to its benefit though. I was like
it's
good. I remember when the announcement came that they were cutting the episodes to like in half. And I was like
some over the garden wall type stuff.
It cuts out a lot of the fluff, I feel.
Yeah. It has its pros and its cons.
Yeah,
the
there
pros
are some
is that you get more action.
I do think that if they had kept the half-hour format, I probably would have dropped off like halfway through the weekend.
Fair. Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
There's times like even in March of the Oni, there were times where I started to get a little bored.
Yeah.
Ninjago
kind of had that.
Acquire Ninjago. I'll probably watch it then.
I would love if anyone else but Cartoon Network acquired it because like Netflix having all of it was amazing. I'm really glad.
That will go till because some shows they'll get and they'll only be on there for like 6 months or something. I can't
or
remember.
Netflix or Ninjago.
Netflix, yeah. For
Yeah, well, it's
Ninjago.
been on there for like 8 years now, so I don't think it's going away.
Wait,
anymore.
Netflix.
But they did get rid of the pilot.
Yeah,
thought
I
you
don't
guys
said
understand
they
that still.
Wait, I thought you guys just said they recently added all of it there. Like,
As all of it,
It's
as all
only
of it
listed
they
in the
have.
pilot.
The pilot.
oh, yeah, okay. I didn't even know it was on Netflix.
Got Day of the Departed. It's got, the happy birthday thing. So
Didn't even know that was a thing. All right.
Yeah, the strange thing about it too is when they switched to 15. Why did I stutter there? When they switched to 15 minutes, it was basically under new branding at that point, like as a different show.
it was
would make you
slightly
think-
rebooted. Yes.
Which would make you think then that they would be able to get a different deal with a different network at that point. But I think they just signed a new deal with Cartoon Network, is what it looks like, because it's a new studio, new branding for the show.
Mm-hmm.
But they seem to have Lego seems to have chosen to go with Cartoon Network anyways, which I don't get.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also possible they just couldn't get anybody else on.
Well, I
Yeah.
think it actually has to do, like, I don't know who's like in control, like executives of it, but typically, I guess if I was like theoretically a Danish executive of Lego and had control of shows, I wouldn't want to put it on anything other than a show, like a station or whatever that immediately just screamed like kid friendly, like Cartoon Network. It's a network of cartoons. I am Danish. This makes sense. Let's put it
Yeah.
on the network of cartoons. Or maybe Nickelodeon, but SpongeBob, maybe
City
the Danish
Stories
stuff.
is on Nickelodeon,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so I don't think it gets any better treatment actually.
Yeah. I don't even think Monkey Kid has been picked up anywhere in the United States.
No, I don't
No,
think
it
it has. They
hasn't.
just released that all online.
Yeah.
Does it deserve to be picked up? Is it good?
Monkey Kid?
Yeah. Is it?
Mm.
I thought the pilot was okay.
It pains me to say that Monkey Kid is absolutely amazing. It's got the episodic feel, so where it's like one and done episodes that slowly build up on a story. There's only 10 of them, but the animation is like drop dead gorgeous.
Does it
I
get
think
any less like I don't know how to describe it? Like
it definitely has that.
It's
I get
I watched a little bit of it, and I liked how it reminded me a lot of like Hiroki. I'm butchering the name, Imashi, who did like Gurren Lagann and Kill la Kill and
Yeah,
stuff.
it is very much over exaggerated anime.
Yeah.
Lego
I like that, but it feels like a little too much.
too
Like
much.
they saw that
Mhm.
style and kind of went like they were imitating the style, not like it was an organic part of
Mhm.
the show or anything.
It's
I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
The storytelling is good for each episode. I think the animation is fantastic. The fights are incredible. Episode 9 in particular was like, oh my gosh, this is season 1 and it already looks like this. And so yeah, I as much as I don't want to bring in the competitiveness between Ninjago and Monkey Kid, I think they could live in harmony together. But Ninjago still has that like very mature, like this is a series, and
I
Monkey
haven't
Kid is the
seen it,
show.
but from what I've heard you talk about it, it's definitely a show that's like found its footing,
Yeah.
like it 100% like knows what it's doing. Like,
Mhm.
yeah.
So, yeah.
But speaking of 2D animation, something I wanted to get everyone's thoughts on, since we haven't talked about it on this podcast, even though it's been 2 years since it's happened.
Oh boy.
What we've been talking about as the anime episodes of Ninjago, the 2D
Oh,
animated.
boy.
I haven't seen it. I should have seen it so I could talk
There's
about
a
it with
handful
you guys.
now.
There's a lot to
handful now.
unpack. Is there 3 or 4?
There are currently
I think it's just
3.
3.
Yeah.
3.
Because there wasn't
There's
one in Prime Empire, was there?
No.
No. No, there was
Yeah,
not.
'cause there's
They had
2
the black
nice
and white
chapters.
episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It don't look so good.
Yeah, it that isn't exactly what we were talking about when we were talking about we want anime. I lean more towards like, can we have what Monkey Kid has?
It kind of looks like a little bit more updated version of like the old He-Man cartoons.
Oh, okay.
That worked for Master of the Mountain. The
Okay, the
anime episodes completely worked for Master
We'll
of the
get
Mountain.
that one in just a bit. But I want to talk about the first one.
The first one.
It looks kind of like deviant art almost.
Honestly, it felt cheap to me on the first one. I feel like they've progressively gotten better since, but I'm really not big on that first one. Though the episode introduced Fugitive, which is one of my new favorite characters for Ninjago. So
Fugitive. Oh yes, Fugitive is amazing.
Oh, but it bugs me because he doesn't have a minifigure.
Yeah.
Just like yeah, what was his name? Darn it, Korgon?
Yeah.
And the
Korgon,
Tinker, too.
Korgon.
Yeah.
But
The
he also was
mechanic,
introduced in
yeah.
one of these, and he doesn't have a minifigure, which is annoying.
Yeah.
But yeah, the
Fingers
first
are
one,
crossed.
they were definitely trying to experiment with it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
It did not look like it had a budget at all.
Nope. They
Why?
definitely wanted to. They definitely tried something new, and it kind of backfired. They stuck with it. I thought the designs for the ninja looked great. It was really the movement.
oh yeah, the movement, like the frame rate, was
Mhm.
not great. And I'm trying to find a good picture of it to put up on here. 'Cause for some reason, I
Hayley,
forgot
is
to
there a
get-
reason why they do that in the show, or is there no reason why there's a
They
different
just
style?
wanted to be more creative. They just like, well, we're gonna do like different, designs for the series, and so the
Do they
animation
do that
was-
sometimes? Like they'll
that
like
was-
switch it up.
they would that's the first time we've ever gotten a different medium for Ninjago in the series.
Now,
I
with
think
all-
besides like silhouette storytelling.
Yeah.
Um,
Now, all the 2D animated episodes, they're technically not canon exactly. They're stories someone else tells of the past.
yeah,
And the first one actually was very much not canon at all. It was just
Yeah.
these villains telling stories.
yeah. The name of the episode was like
The worst ever.
the
or
worst
something?
ever,
Yeah.
Literally.
and
How come I know that? And
Honestly,
I haven't seen that season in so long, but
I rewatched it
uh,
recently with Kevin, and that was definitely the weakest
I
episode of
know,
the
that was
season.
so bad. Oh, no.
I can imagine the cringe. I mean, we were laughing our heads off because the actual story is about the ninja, but then afterwards we kind of were like, yeah, that looked kind of iffy.
At points, it was funny at points too. I felt like the first one too, there are a lot of jokes for me in particular that did not land and kind of were
Yeah.
cringy.
Yeah.
Especially, I think the
Mhm.
Nia sequence was the worst. The J one was funny.
The J1.
Oh, I loved her line. I'm
It's-
gonna take your vehicle
Yeah.
without even asking.
Yeah, it's just like I saw what they're going for there, but I feel like the joke didn't quite land. And
Fair.
And then the J1 though, that really like hit well. Like it's good with anime references and just funny of
Mhm.
its own merit.
yeah, the
so
J1 was
it's
funny.
like it's
That's
good.
not how lightning works. That's not even how rope works.
The thing is that like I'm scrolling through Google images of just Ninjago anime, and I legitimately cannot tell what is from the actual show.
Oh my
and what is
goodness.
fan art. I can't tell.
Yeah, that's not a add episode Ninjago anime.
it doesn't get better with
episode.
episode. I just checked.
Oh, it doesn't.
No.
Okay. Ninjago.
It's actually, yeah, there's hardly any. I'm often disappointed when I try to get like images from the show off of Google Images how like bad the results are.
All right, look up Ninjago the absolute worst.
Okay. But the thing, I feel like they named it that after they finished the episode and were like, if we don't have some shred of self-awareness, we will be killed when we release this.
But the second one that same season was darn it, well,
It was a bit
why did I forget her
better.
name? That one's been long since I said.
Akira?
Oh yeah,
Akita.
oh yeah,
Akita.
Kita's backstory. I still felt the animation wasn't the greatest on that one, but
Yeah.
what makes up for it though is the music is so incredible that I
Yeah, the music for Ninjago has always been absolutely stellar. They're one of the only, or that pair, Jay Vincent and Michael Kramer, are one of the only people remaining that have worked on it since
Is
the
that
beginning.
real? What is that? Is that real?
was what real?
The picture.
This
Is that
pretty
Yes,
sure
that's
I think-
real.
It is
That's
real.
Jay with Fuji-Dub.
why is he holding money bags and lost in one of the
That does look
angels
pretty
from-
bad out of context.
Why is he holding an angel from End of Evangelion in one of his hands?
Welcome to Ninjago. You've missed quite a lot. Ninjago went full on anime.
Yeah, it just looks like
What?
Jay's like just decided to beat up this random guy.
What is wait, what's with Ben 10 Zane? He looks like Spider Monkey.
Yeah, that's Zane. That's like, Zane as a robot. He had like all these robot features. Now that's not canon. He cannot do that.
Like, yeah,
It's
that's
Spider Monkey Zane.
Insane. Like,
I'm getting PTSD flashbacks to when I spent over $100 and something to acquire all of the mint condition Ben 10 Lego sets.
But yeah, that animation was pretty cool when like Zane was like, I guess, undoing himself. It looked really, really cool.
You can, I could tell just from this that that's part of like the key animation. Like that was probably the highest budget that they were allotted for that one scene.
Yeah, I think it was.
I know, but come on, seriously, the money bags. That's not real. That's not real, right?
Well, no, it's the fugitive was robbing the bank and he took the money back from him.
Yeah.
It looks like he robbed the bank and beat up this guy in like a mascot costume or something.
But then the latest anime episode from Master of the Mountain, I actually enjoyed this one quite a bit. I felt like the quality was a lot better.
So it's called Master of the Mountain?
Yeah, it was like a He-Man parody.
Yeah.
Yep, very much He-Man.
Oh, but
Corgran!
Corgran was absolutely hilarious. That was actually one of my favorite episodes of this season.
His axe completely stole the show.
Yeah,
his completely normal axe that doesn't talk.
I still don't know by the end. Like, I legitimately wonder, does the axe talk or not?
Wait, what?
You guys are bananas.
Well, you see, it's like a He-Man parody. Like, his axe will talk to him and tell him things, but then his father's like, Corgran, the axe does not really talk to you. Like,
well, Corgran speaks in third person. He's one of those characters.
Yeah. Yeah, they mentioned that as well. And also, he's from Metalonia, which is continuity. And now I want to see him and Karloff team up.
Yeah. I'm sure like I said, they're both very different looking characters. So it's like, I'm guessing like Metalonia has like different areas. Like you've got the very traditional Viking sort of, and then you've got the very industrial side of it.
It's hard to say though. Also, Corgran, his flashback was like, what, 8 at least years ago?
True.
So
they modernized really quick.
Well, yeah, Ninjago does modernize really quick. Do you realize the time from the Serpentine War to having video games was like 2 years?
That's
true.
The power of capitalism.
True.
Hours going on about this, like trying to find out. Then I remembered it's been a couple of years since Hands of Time. So, okay, it gives us a little bit, because otherwise video games would have been around during the Serpentine War, which does not match the artwork of the time period. And that's another topic for another time, but Ninjago's technological advancements are... It is more, like, the Ninjago timeline makes more sense than you'd think at first, but there's some contrivances around the 80s of Ninjago.
And I have tried. I have built a timeline, and I have question marks next to a few things. But
they have been smart with a lot of it. It is just legend, so we don't know how much of the past is true or not. The Serpentine War is like the only thing that was set in stone, which is probably not a good idea, as the way things were set up previously, it should have been a lot longer before that. But other than that, let's talk about Master of the Mountain a little bit more before we move on. One thing I wanted to mention while we were here is interesting how the Fire and Stone mech in the show is very different than the story that's
you
set
really are going to bring that up first. You're going to bring that up first. Oh my gosh.
Yes, I like that set. I have this set on my desk right now.
I don't know what you're talking about, but this sounds juicy.
You don't like the Fire and Stone mech set?
No, I don't.
Why?
Wait,
I literally
is this the one I'm thinking of? Wait, the Fire and...
Literally the moment where his mech completely, like, I guess decapitated isn't the wrong word, but like he tore into that lava monster, and I saw the magma cover the other side of the mech. I almost like I was so ecstatic and happy, and then I instantly burst into tears. I was like, that set was so close to being amazing, and it's not show accurate. That's not a Kai mech. That's a coal mech.
But yeah, like the set itself, like obviously what they were going for here was like the default mech was the red mech, and it was like repaired almost with stone. And no, the set is awesome though. I really love this set. So I was kind of disappointed in the show. It was basically
It
just a
could have
stone
been
mech.
a Cole mech. It could have been a Cole mech,
Hey,
but
it's
they
not
gave
like
it
Cole
to
hasn't gotten
Kai.
a mech before.
I mean, he
This-
literally just got an updated mech this
All you
year.
have to do is
This
put
mech
Cole
set
in
is
the
like
about
when you
that.
have arthritis and gout in half of your body and heartburn in the other.
What?
Never mind. I don't know.
Stick Billy D. Williams in here. You know,
I
it'd
think
be
it
fun.
looks kind of cool.
It's
If
a
you-
very, it's a very cool looking set.
But
I'm just mad that it's not show accurate because it could have
what?
looked
How? Like,
amazing.
what is show accurate though? Like,
It should be made of
it-
stone.
Yeah,
whole
It
thing.
should have that stone
so
look. all
so
throughout.
why is it
There should be
fire?
no red.
Oh well, here
Well-
I can easily tell you why. I don't even watch Ninjago. Kai is like the most popular ninja.
Yep,
Kids love the
yep.
color red, so it's about the
Yep,
attention that the kids
yep.
see. Visual is
Yeah.
like gray isn't very stimulating to kids. There's some like I don't know. Kai is basically just like a late '90s kid through and through. So red, attention, marketing, toys, money.
I
that's
also
why.
I have the theory that in the show the idea for the mech was probably different at one point. Because usually these types of things talk
Maybe.
about like in the concepts they're talking about one thing, then the production schedules are different for the set and the show, and then one thing happens on one end and another thing happens on another. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I just found it really weird, but I don't know. I still really like the set, so I'm not upset. I'm more upset with the show's interpretation. I like the idea of like a mech that was like once just this normal red mech thing. Cole uses like his elemental powers to like form half of it into a stone mech and repair it.
See, that would have been cool.
Because that's kind of what it tells here. Because like the stone half of it's like looks way more organic on the set than the fire half of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's at least to me that seems to be the story they're trying to tell with the set.
Yep.
But okay, no,
Yep.
You know, this is a little okay. Fine, you go.
no, you go.
No, you. It's probably more on topic.
Somebody go.
I am
You do it.
disappointed that the Blades of Deliverance don't do anything because they're a really cool piece.
Yeah, they are. The blades were really great. They got worked up to be something like super ancient and magical and whatnot.
Here, wait,
and then
Can I pull an LJ? Could you say that they didn't deliver?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
sorry, I had to sneak that in there.
so, which is why I really hope, or I really wish that we would have gotten a better flashback of like his mom using them, because the swords like were probably super epic, and they were epic for like the few seconds that Cole was fighting with
Mhm.
them.
And
I
then
was
they
having,
just
I was like, this is amazing. This is, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And then Cole used it to protect himself, and
then they killed him off.
they killed the swords. They just shattered. I'm like, what? He doesn't keep the swords?
Well, he's got to have that hammer that he never uses.
True, he didn't.
Remember
He gave his hammer to Wu and then ran and got the swords and then broke the swords.
Hey, that wasn't a hammer; it was a mace.
True.
Whatever bludgeoning tool he decides to use this season.
It's a blackjack.
But however, I am stubborn and I made the swords myself.
They're still a really cool piece. Which I
They
hope
were
they don't just
really
retire
cool.
that mold, because I actually like to get that mold used with other colors in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really cool.
Though with
Sword.
Ninjago's history of like the MacGuffin molds, like the Technoblade and stuff, he'll probably just be retired after this year.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Oh wait, what are those made out of?
So these are foam swords that I found at Spirit Halloween. I was actually with LJ and Envy when I saw them.
And you were
And I
like,
went over and I was like, I saw them, I was like, oh, those are some really big swords. And then I was like, wait a second. I literally went over, looked at them, and then the nerd that I am, I reached into my purse and pulled out the actual Blade of Deliverance, because I just have them in my purse, and then compared it. And I was like, I looked over to LJ and Envy, I was like,
You-
I need this. I
You're
can
doing like
make
a
the sword.
perspective test. You have them hold the big sword far away, and you hold the small sword. Like, yeah,
Honestly, that would have been amazing. But so yeah, and so I was in Utah at the time, and so I was like, I'll just go home and get the swords at a Spirit Halloween and do it. So I flew home.
Great coincidence.
I went to 3 Spirit Halloweens and they were nowhere to be found.
Oh.
I checked online. Finally, Keeney tracked them down and they were sold out. So Envy rushed back to a store that he knew locally and he bought them and shipped them to me, and then I painted them and fixed them up.
I can't
so that I
imagine
could
that was
actually have
cheap
them.
to ship.
It was not cheap, but it's worth it because
It
now it's
probably
hanging on my
actually cost
wall.
more
And
than the swords themselves.
they were about the same actually.
Huh.
You'd be surprised. They're about the same. But yeah, the swords are amazing. I love them. They're hanging on my wall. They're not too heavy. They were a lot of fun to build, and yeah, they're show accurate. Except for the swords don't cut in at the bottom. But other than that, it's show accurate.
And obviously, they're not very sharp too.
And they're not
Yeah,
broken
I mean,
like in the show, so
they're not broken. Which I mean, I'm cosplaying his mom, so that she doesn't break the swords.
Yeah.
Cole does.
Cole just
So-
screws it up.
Cole
Yeah.
just takes her legacy and just shatters it.
Yeah, I was surprised though that like the Geckles and the Muns?
months.
The months, yeah.
Yeah, they weren't like really ticked off about that because the swords seem to be pretty important to them.
Yeah, that's a good point. They're like, yeah, you saved our lives, but the swords. that was the thing that united us. We don't even know the history of the swords, so.
As far as we know, they're just normal swords, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the whole plot line of
The
the
mom got 'em
swords had
shipped
magic.
to her from another country.
Yeah, she just had them like she just had swords.
Yeah.
Like, she went to the local
He just
like
likes skulls.
craftsman or whatever it is, and she was like, "Oh, I like these swords. I'm gonna buy them."
No, she was trying to cosplay as like one of her favorite characters, and she had a blacksmith make like weapon
I mean,
accurate.
The most likely thing in canon was they were made by Kai's parents.
Probably, yeah.
Because
makes sense.
we know the swords, she would have had them around the time after the Serpentine War, at which point most of the Elemental Master's weapons were made by Rey and Maya.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, you will actually not. Yeah, that maybe. I'm kind
Now,
of
if she
thinking
had them before the Serpentine
Lily,
Wars, maybe not, but in the flashbacks we've seen, she did not have the
Yeah.
swords then.
She probably, because she would have gone to Shintaro before Colt was born.
Yeah.
So Lily is incredibly tragic because the whole thing with elemental powers is that they're passed down upon the kid's birth. Like you don't keep your powers as
Is
a
that
parent.
confirmed?
Wait, as soon
I
as you
thought it was
give birth,
speculated, but there
you
isn't
can't
anything to
keep your
It's
confirm
powers?
it.
speculated, but I
I can definitely
It's-
see that, but I wish we'd get it confirmed one way or another. Which,
yeah.
to me, is kind of a shame, because I always kind of like the idea of there being able, if they could come in contact
on
with
to
someone
it.
else who is also a master of their same element.
Yeah, I don't. That's probably not possible because I know the whole thing with Lloyd and Garmadon in season 8. Like only one of them can really have their full power at the
well,
exact
except
same
March of the
time.
Oni, then Garmadon got his powers back, then Lloyd still had his.
True. With that one, both of their powers were weakened, and Lloyd's also kind of weird. But Garmadon did literally take the powers from him when they fought.
Yeah, there's a
then
lot
Lloyd
to
did the
dive
same thing.
into
So
with
there's-
that. There's
There's
a lot.
with
It's
that.
nothing straightforward.
Yeah, there's no like Ninjago is super weird with their powers and whatnot. But Lily was born after the Hands of Time,
Oh, was she?
and so
I
yeah,
thought for some
because
reason
the
it was...
Master of Earth was there for the Hands of Time, and he was still in combat and fighting.
Okay, yeah.
And then Lily was born, and that was what 40 years ago.
She had a very short life for an elemental
She
master.
had a
then.
very short life. In fact, I did like some math, and I think she died when she was like either 30 or 35.
Yeah,
which
it
is
couldn't
really
be
sad.
any older than that.
Yeah. So that means that she went to Shintaro when she was like a teenager.
Well, to be fair, at least she probably had a better life than Kai and Nia's parents. who
She
were
had a better life
basically-
than Cole. So
As far as I
Cole-
can tell, their relationship with their parents is not going very well because they have not talked to them since.
we haven't seen them in a while. So, but I think it's confirmed that Maya's coming back.
Oh, huh.
Jillian
so?
Michaels was back in the booth, so she's voicing Maya.
Oh.
So
I forget who
excited for
voices
that.
Ray, because was
Ray is Vincent Tong.
Okay,
Vincent
that's-
Tong voices both Kai and his dad.
okay.
So, but yeah, Jillian, after she passed on her role as Lloyd to Sam
She's in a
Vincent,
few
she's
other
still
ones too.
yeah, she's Edna.
yeah.
She's Maya, and I think that's it for like her major roles for on the series.
There's one more, but I might be wrong.
If it might be another. Maybe.
Let's...
But I know those are 2 major ones, and we haven't even seen Ed and Edna in a while.
Oh, I was just thinking of Pythor's wife.
Oh, of Scales.
Oh yeah, not
Pythor.
Wait, Pythor has a
Pythor's been
wife?
busy.
No, Pythor doesn't.
Hayley has
Scales
a
does.
wife? Oh.
Where is Pythor?
He is
He's
like one of
just-
the major loose ends currently.
He's off doing whatever.
They're probably saving him for a very good time.
They'll bring him
Probably
back
not.
for one anime episode, and that's
You know
it.
what's
Oh,
sad is
I'd love
that
to see a
might be-
serpentine in anime. Be kind of weird.
I feel like his design would translate a lot better to like a
Yeah.
cartoon like that than the CGI kind of Lego 3D mold, you know?
Mhm. He's definitely, I mean, the most animated. I know Asphira was beautiful. Like the animation for Asphira was really, really good. And she isn't very Pythor-esque. She's like a middle between Pythor and like a regular
Nauticon.
serpentine. Nauticon was also really good, but she
Yeah, I
her
was
and
thinking
Nauticon
like
were
that
very
Spear's
similar.
design is like a lot like Nauticon.
Very, very much like Nauticon. But yeah, so
Another
I'd
thing I
love to
want
have
to
Pythor come back.
discuss of this season, one of the most confusing things to me is what is going on with Spinjitsu Burst?
Spinjitsu Burst. It I like that they've introduced an ability that the ninja can do, but in certain situations they don't trap themselves with like air jitsu or elemental dragons.
Oh no, I forgot to mention that they bring back Air Jitsu in Prime
In
Empire,
Prime
but
Empire,
don't mention at all why they don't do it all these other times.
Yeah. Now, I mean, Tommy is like he's writing a fan fiction of his own.
Yeah,
Called Way of the Departed, which is where he answers those questions.
yeah, that's
about why
supposed to
they can't do
explain Air
stuff.
Jitsu and the dragons, I believe.
And the dragons, yeah.
But we haven't gotten a chapter in that in a long time.
Yeah, we haven't. I know he's very busy. He just had a recent wonderful time getting the story for 2022 all figured out. So, and Ninjago is still going strong. We got 2 more seasons.
Yeah. I wish
coming
they
out
just give us
soon.
like throw us a bone of like a small line about what happened to Air Jitsu or something, because it was like almost worse now
Yeah.
they referenced it again. But haven't told us
Mhm.
why it was there but nowhere else.
Yeah,
I think
especially
it's
since
it's also
they had
funny
a
how
lot
they're
of
coming up
falling
with
in
ways.
the Master of the Mountain season. A
Mhm.
lot
Hmm?
of falling.
Forward your disappointment at Mal over talking you.
Nah, it's all right. I just think it's funny how they're coming up with very clever ways to sneak Spinjitsu back into the show by
Yeah.
taking away their elemental powers. I just think it's absolutely clever. Like,
Mhm. This-
ha.
Spinjitsu Burst, I didn't even know what it was gonna be like. I was like, does he like explode the ground?
He
Is it
doesn't
gonna
actually
be
do
like crazy?
Spinjitsu,
And
it's
he
more of
just,
just a
yeah,
burst.
it
He's
is very much a burst.
He's like the black bird from Angry Birds. He just blows up when he.
It's just Spinjitsu, but
I mean, yeah,
bigger.
yeah, it is much bigger.
He's like
and-
Big Bomb from Angry Birds.
Mhm. So I mean, that was an epic moment. I was very, very satisfied with what happened there. Mostly because I was so happy with the combat that happened before.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
talk about Ninjago upgrading their choreography for fighting is like, I'm sure. I mean, Ford, you probably really noticed that because you watched March of the Oni and then immediately went into season 11, and you're like, oh my gosh,
I did, yeah.
the movement's really different.
And yeah, it's like a really stark contrast when you go from
Hmm.
March of the Oni to the new season. You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot more, like you said, there's a lot more choreography. There's a lot more just like fluidity of movement.
Yeah.
Um,
The characters are a lot more
yeah.
flexible.
I
like,
do miss
it-
Will Film in some areas though.
Yes.
Like there's like a lot of give and take with the new studio. Like some things like the movement is better, the textures can be a lot better. Will Film had really cool lighting though, and I miss that.
Will Film had amazing control of like cinematography and
Uh-huh.
lighting and even color grading.
Mhm. Especially when we
and-
got to like March of the Oni looks great.
yeah.
And again, Sons of Garm is by far still my favorite season. That one just looks amazing
Yeah.
all the way through.
Oh yeah, Sons of Garmadon has that dark, very Akira vibe to it.
Ninjago City just doesn't look as cool with the new studio. I'm sorry.
Well, the issue with that, and I didn't really realize this until I think someone like said it, and I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. It's a new studio. They haven't built Ninjago City.
Yeah. So it looks
So
a lot
all
more
of their
like season
assets-
1, 2 Ninjago City.
Oh yeah. All of the assets, like even like they don't even have a Garmadon asset.
Oh yeah.
They don't have anything. So they had to build it all like on the fly, which is why, Ninjago City doesn't look too great. Why they didn't really go to any classic Ninjago locations because they don't exist. It's reasons why characters like Ronin don't appear or
interestingly,
Skylar.
There's still been cameos by a lot of classic characters since then.
They've put a few in. I don't know if they put in some that are going to be important in the future. But they're slowly introducing stuff. They're also kind of playing with the whole, if you're a new watcher for Ninjago and like season 11 is your entry point, we want you to understand as much as possible. They did their best, but they still missed a few. First thing that came up was Harumi. If you haven't seen season 8, 9, and all of a sudden Lloyd is talking to Akita about Harumi, and you're like, who the heck is this character? And then she shows up in Prime Empire.
I don't think that's that big a deal. Kids know how to use the internet. My 6-year-old brother drew the election results without prompting, so I think they can figure out how to look up Ninjago.
Fair enough.
But they do a pretty decent job of explaining Harumi, at least in that instance.
True.
Fine. On the flip side of like, on the flip side of the whole like character model thing and how they had to recreate everything. I do think it's really nice that they added all those extra little details to like not only like the clothing but also like the hair and stuff.
Yes, that's something I've mentioned to the others, and they're just
it gives it just a little bit more flair. I like it.
Like it actually looks like hair. Like especially Lloyd. Like Lloyd, you can really see the detailing to his blonde hair, and it's like brunette blonde. It's really, really cool.
Speaking of which, can we take a moment to appreciate how much character development Lloyd has had over the years? Just like I love the moment where it's after Cole meets the princess, and then Lloyd goes to his room and like is just ticked off at Cole.
Hello, Cole.
Like Lloyd for like a while, like season 2 through like season 7 stagnated so much as a character, and then he's been so great now where he actually has like one of the most developed personalities of all of them.
He's been a fun one. That I've always kind of seen Ninjago as a coming of age story, especially after season 8 for like Lloyd. We've seen him go through like all the big moments of his life, except being born. But we've seen pretty much everything else. We haven't seen that yet. We haven't seen Lloyd.
He also met God. I mean, his grandfather.
True. We literally saw him almost die.
And that's why they don't do the tornado creation for people who ask
we
that.
have seen Lloyd as a child. Oh my gosh, the Lego Ninjago movie. There's baby Lloyd. So
of course, the Lego Ninjago movie, the best piece of Lego Ninjago media.
I know, right? Oh man, if you stop at the Lego Ninjago movie, bless your heart. Oh,
almost as the Lego movie.
The thing about Lloyd's early childhood is they don't talk about it that much. If you like read through all the bits they drop, though, Lloyd had like the worst childhood ever.
He had to deal with his own mother. And
Harumi was like
he didn't hit
not
Harumi, sorry, until like 20.
Misako, like I'm pretty sure Misako committed child abuse at several points in his childhood. Like,
oh wait, there's child abuse in this show?
Actually, there's quite a bit.
There's quite a bit. I mean, Lloyd Garmadon exists, and that's one thing. Kai and Nia's parents were kidnapped when they were like 5 and 3.
And no one helped them.
Jay was abandoned when he was a kid. Cole's mom died, and his dad wasn't there for him. Zane's dad died, and he turned on his memory switch.
Zane is like canonically 140 now.
Yeah, and also Echo Zane. Echo Zane was abandoned after Julian just left him in the lighthouse in season 2, which isn't really talked about that much, but that's tragic.
Just to replace his,
he built him to replace his son, and then
Echo
abandoned
him. Really like screwed up tragic story. It's just overlooked.
And then, of course, we can't forget about Wu, though. He's the cause for like all of the problems in Ninjago, and he had to watch all of his friends die.
I feel like if he had just laid off the tea a little bit, this probably wouldn't have happened.
Well, we know Wus Age is like at least 1,013 years old at this point, if not more.
Isn't he like Gandalf? He's like as old as the world or something.
The thing is, we don't actually know what Wu is. We have no idea of what who their mother is, or if they even have a mother. So, like, we know the humans and the first Spinjitsu Master are not the same species. Otherwise, because the first Spinjitsu Master is half Oni, half dragon, which created basically a new species entirely.
Yep.
We don't know where humans came from, though, either. Like, A could have made them, which I think is what the story kind of leans towards. That be the creation of Ninjago, since we know there's already land there. Likely what he did is populate it with all the species and stuff.
And it is possible going through that through line that Wu is the first human creation.
No, Wu didn't come until quite a while after like humanity and the Serpentine and everything had been established.
Yeah.
All right.
So there's probably several thousand years of Ninjago history before Wu was born. But yeah, we don't know. Because
Lloyd is the first offspring of dragon and Oni that comes also from human.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I mean, this is something I brought up on Twitter a while ago. Lloyd is part dragon, Oni, and human.
And
we've
maybe
seen him
another
use
force of something
stuff.
else. We don't know what their mom is still.
Wait, if he's part dragon.
Yeah, he's part dragon and Oni.
Actually, never mind. I'm not gonna ask that question.
Because I mean, Master Wu is very much literally Oni and dragon as well.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, never mind. I will ask that question. So is he like part like furry then?
I mean, they don't have the. I mean,
we don't know how it works biologically.
I think it's because of the elemental abilities.
Are they like they're like demigods where they have the blood of gods?
Yeah, actually, that's exactly what they are basically.
Yeah, they've got the blood of it.
The only thing we kind of do know is that
demi-furries.
The corruption that Garmadon had from the Great Devourer bite kind of brought out more of his Oni side.
Yes,
that much we do know.
I think YouTube might have died because our viewership just went to from 5 to 0. So either we offended everyone, or
no, it's just an error on the screen.
Okay,
did we say something bad?
Still recording, but I'm just
it just keeps popping up.
He's still watching.
It'll do
that. Anyway, but yeah, the heritage of Wu and Garmadon and like that entire family is something I'd really like to see explored in the future because it's very fascinating and very mysterious.
You know, they could I haven't even watched the show, but this sounds interesting. Like they could do kind of like a whole season that's like a prequel season about like the family ties of all these people from like before the show.
I think that I recall Tommy mentioning an idea about that at one point because they're actually playing around more stuff like that after Hands of Time before the movie was a thing.
They could call it like Ninjago Lineage or something, you know.
There is a book series coming out called Spinjitsu Brothers, which it's about Wu and Garmadon and kind of like their teen years doing stuff around Ninjago that will tie into what's happening now, which I think is really, really cool.
Yeah, I don't expect us to get too much lore from that exactly, though.
Yeah, it is canon. It's kind of the same thing as the Dark Island trilogy,
which unfortunately I found is impossible to get now.
Yeah, that's why. Shameless plug. TTV has the Dark Island trilogy reading. Like we actually read and show all the pages for the Dark Island trilogy.
No TTV plugs on this channel. No exposure for them.
So, but we have that. So, because I know how rare it is. The canon, the story is amazing. Has a lot of fantastic moments, and it's technically a Wu season or like a Wu centered thing, and you get a lot of depth about him, which is really, really cool. But he also talks about him being like, I am the son of the first Spinjitsu master. He probably says that like 20 times. It's like, dude,
actually a really tragic character because just his personality, he's totally not qualified for the position he's in the universe.
Is he kind of a loser or something?
Kind of, actually.
Kind of, yeah.
I like that though. That's kind of cool.
He's also not exactly a fantastic sensei. He just he focuses on experience. He knows like a lot of the proverbs, but then with an intro, like, what does that mean? He just kind of like, I'm gonna go drink tea now.
Yeah,
I'll let you guys figure it out.
And then you guys
who is like that guy that
anger.
constantly spews like political talking points, but he has no idea what any of them mean.
Yeah, like he never has given them a history lesson ever.
And that causes a lot of problems.
Yep.
But yeah, he was.
There's
His brother bullied him out of his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Ninja, I have spiked your tea with roofies.
Man, he's worse than Hakama.
Yeah. He's pretty
Oh,
worse.
And at some point, after
Hakama
Garmadon's
was a good
vanishing,
leader.
it was so hard on him, he grew a white beard.
There is actually, I think that there's a reason for that. I don't think it's confirmed though.
What was the
But-
reason you've heard?
It's because Wu and Garmadon were split up in 2 different realms.
And
And
so,
so
they
both of
started
them
aging.
aged. They both aged like really fast.
Huh.
That's the theory that I know that exists.
I mean, that could be plausible, though there's some other things that wouldn't explain that, because we already know, like, the elemental element makes people age slower.
Yeah.
So, it could just be that, like, once they get old, they're old, too.
Yeah.
Or, you know,
Well,
it's just,
they'll
like,
get
changing
there.
up his look. At that point, decided to stop dyeing his hair. But,
Yeah.
I mean,
And
again,
also-
more so that part is, they were really fuzzy on the timeline in the early days of Ninjago.
Yep.
Because Garmadon's banishing, they clearly had the intent for it to be a long time before the pilot episode. But then when Lloyd came around, they're like, oh, guess that was 10 years ago.
So I guess he was banished 10 years ago.
I mean, it actually makes more sense when you think about it with the stuff with Kai's dad and the map in that case. But, so everything fits together. You've just got to play around with it.
I mean, technically, that means that, like, when Kai's dad got the map and he hid it, like, maybe the next day he got kidnapped.
Yeah.
Because that's, like, kind of where it lines up. But yeah, it's man, and the Ninjago timeline is just so weird. But hopefully they can make altercations to, like, Lord that
Over the years, it's
sense.
gotten clearer than it has been. Since
Yeah.
Hands of Time, they've been working to make it clearer, I feel.
Yeah, Sons of Garmadon was crazy important, and I loved the lore for that. Like, that was the first time we even heard Oni drop, Dragon drop for that, which was really cool. And then they really went into it.
I want to know, though, about the creation. Like, what is the Stone Army? Like, I've been researching the Overlord a lot lately, just trying to find anything we can. Like, for a while, I was on the theory that he was an Oni. But then what I found is, like, some people have referenced it, like, when during the creation of Ninjago, like, a yin-yang thing, like, it created, like, this dark version of the first Spinjitsu master. And that's him, like, a Dark Link type situation.
Right. Wherever there is light, there must be shadow.
Yeah, that kind of thing. The season 3 kind of screwed with the Overlord's character, though, too.
Yeah.
And
He was supposed to set up to be. I mean, they were in such a weird position because they wrote the ending of Ninjago. And then Lego was like, actually, can we have more? And they're like, but we just finished it. Like, that was it. That was the final battle. The entire series was led to this moment.
I remember
You want more?
the Hageman brothers, they were also talking about how originally Lego ordered 12, then they ordered 4, then they went to 8, then 6, then 8 again.
Yep. So Rebooted was kind of screwed.
That's why the middle of Rebooted is like some of the most boring parts of Ninjago, actually.
Yeah. Rebooted was just kind of, the pacing is just so weird, but I that's the only forgiveness I give it for that season. It's not exactly, I mean, some people think it's like a god tier season. I'm like, I mean, it's got good
moments. The beginning of it is really, really great, and then the ending is really, really great, but the middle is not.
Yeah. So
also, I had an awesome trailer for the season. That was such a great time.
That trailer, when that dropped, I remember watching that on, like, my parents' laptop and being in complete awe. I was like, Ninjago's coming back? I don't need to sit and watch trailers for Chima all day? Like, Ninjago's back? Yes! And I remember even being excited because I saw the elevator explode. Like, oh my gosh, an elevator exploded in Ninjago. It's growing up because we've never had an explosion before in the series of that, like, caliber. And of course, you know, a few seasons later, there's a girl that made Lloyd fall in love with her, and now she's throwing a knife at him to try to kill him. So it's, you know, things change really quickly.
Her parents die in an earthquake caused by a giant snake, and then she dies.
And then she died. Yeah.
And also everyone she tried to save in the elevator probably also died.
She kills her adoptive parents, which they kind of like brush over. Lloyd mentions it, but she literally killed her adoptive parents.
That's like one of the most direct murders in all of Ninjago. Just like The regicide.
That's pretty crazy.
The Ninjago royal family freaking dies.
Yeah,
that's the end.
Dies in a fire, and the ninja are just like, we couldn't save them. I'm like, wait, you couldn't save them? They're dead? Like those characters that
and
existed
everyone thought they were
gonna
bring them back, but they didn't.
Yeah, no. They're like, yeah, there's no way.
This is what you have in store with Sons of Garmadon.
I don't know. I'll probably watch Sons of Anarchy instead, and then I'll work up.
Compare it.
Then I'll compare it.
All right.
Yeah. Or I'll just watch the.
We can get into more Ninjago lore here in our next session, but I wanted to bring up this map here, which I've just been obsessing over for days.
Oh yes.
Haley, you probably have more background than I have on this map, so how about you explain it to the audience?
Shout out to Josh for doing this. He drew a map a couple of years ago. I say a couple, more like 5 or 6 years ago. And he just kind of invented areas, and he was like, and he looked at it like recently. He's like, this is so non-canon, so he decided to make this. And this looks like it could be pulled from like an Ninjago encyclopedia. It's gorgeous. It literally looks like the series. There's a couple moments where you kind of zoom out in the series and you can see like the landmass of Ninjago, and it looks just like that. Of course,
it's got a good yin and yang shape.
Oh yeah. The newest edition, of course, is Primeval's Eye,
which actually makes a lot of sense because of the yin and yang shape. Because the Temple of Light was always on the Dark Island, which was weird, and now we've got like the Oni Temple, which also, speaking of Ninjago history, the war with the Oni in the first Spinjitsu Master is such a mystery there too. Like the Oni that followed.
A lot of good points. You're getting a lot of good points about that.
So, like, I was discussing with Klenda the other day, like, what point did humanity enter Ninjago? Was it before or after the Stone Army War?
I think it's after.
That's what I was thinking too, but there's nothing really to confirm it. Like, that war is really mysterious.
Yeah, I mean, I know it was fought for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is that humanity existed, the Serpentine humanity existed, and then, he literally, I mean, if you remember from the story, the first Spinjitsu Master split the land in half.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what's on the Dark Island per se. I don't know if all of humanity was on one half of it. But yeah, so there's a lot of mystery with that battle. Like I said, they wrote that with no intention to like answer the questions because the series was ending in like 5 or 6 episodes. But there's definitely a lot that you can cover. I mean, the fact that the first Spinjitsu Master isn't from this realm is one thing that's really cool. Consider like he came to this place and he created Ninjago using the 4 weapons.
We still don't know quite what that means.
Don't know what that means. So
because again, 2 areas we know for certain existed prior: the Golden Peaks, because that's where the gold for the weapons came from, and the Temple of Light, because that's where the weapons were forged.
Yep. I'm glad you remember those specific details.
Yeah, I was like deep into the lore stuff just last week, trying to figure all this out. Because it's really cool. Oh, another thing I want to point out on this map, speaking of just Ninjago and over the years and not planning on stuff, this isn't specific to this map, but this map made it clear to me that there's this map that used to come in like the back of the instruction booklet for Season 1 that I thought was just not canon at all at this point. Then I realized it is actually still there. There's another dragon head on the dragon head for Ninjago.
Yep. It's like a little tiny area where like, oh my gosh, that's actually
something have shifted.
It was I actually remember being on that call with Josh, and I think Jan was there, and we were taking that map and like we were twisting it around. Like, is this fit on this map? Does it exist? And then finally Josh zoomed in on one spot, and we all like, I could feel all of our eyes like looking up, looking over, back and forth. We're like, it fits. That's it. Like that literally it matches. And we're like, I can't believe this is happening, but it matches.
The floating ruins and the frozen wasteland have moved since that map, but everything else matches up. Which the floating ruins are like a really cool design from the pilot episode. It would have been cool to see again.
Yeah, there's a lot of those locations that we haven't really been back to. I know the Ice Temple returned in the Shadow of Ronin video game briefly. But other than that, we have not been there. So
and Shadow of Ronin is like such a weird spot where it's technically non-canon, but also the show has referenced it at points.
Yeah, it's like semi-canon.
Yeah,
I like to kind of say there's bits and pieces that are accurate, and then there's also bits and pieces that are not. So
yeah, there's also places like the holy city of I forget, it's Domu,
yeah.
Yeah, which is like in one episode ever.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many areas that we could revisit. And Nam, that was just from like one of the Greg Farshty graphic novels back when there was paper cuts, wasn't it?
Nam is I might be that. It's also the location of Wade the Departed.
Okay. Because I recall there being some character that was from Nam in those graphic novels.
I think that is Salil.
That sounds right. I don't know those. I've only like read recaps of the graphic novels, so again, those were very hard to get a hold of.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but if you zoom in on the Ninjago side of the dragon, all the way on the back, like the back side below Styx.
Yep, I noticed. Yeah, that. Does anyone else remember what Aster City is?
Oh.
No.
You guys remember Ultra Agents?
Yep. Now that isn't canon.
No.
That's the consideration that there are minifigures from Ultra Agents in the series. And that the fact that we've never been to that side of Ninjago, and Aster City is a city on that, like it's on like that side of a landmass because of the river. It's like, why not? The ninja have never been over there, so Aster City could just be sitting there.
Speaking of that, I never realized Styx was like so far away from everywhere else.
Yep.
And also, according to this map, it's pretty big for what a dumpy town is.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of docks. It's like the Gakoro of Ninjago.
We do need to see more cities in Ninjago in general.
Yeah, there's quite a few. I mean, we've seen Ninjago City, we've seen Jamanakai, we know about Styx. Cole's hometown is also kind of mysterious.
Yeah, especially because do we get like one outdoor shot of that entire town?
Yeah, well, Cole's hometown is hilarious because I went back to what is it called? The Royal Blacksmiths, and there's a big shot of them about to jump off the ship, and you can see their little tiny village, and then they have like it's surrounded by a city, but these buildings compared to like the little village that Cole is from are like monstrously huge. So I'm like, is this Ninjago City? Is Cole's hometown like on the outskirts of Ninjago City? I don't think it is, but it's like next to a giant. And of course, this is like season 1 material, so the city doesn't look super impressive. It just looks like giant silver blocks, boxes and whatnot. So it's like, wow, that those buildings are massive. It's like, do giants live there? Is that where Bionicle lives because of the size compared to a minifigure? But it was pretty crazy.
Yeah. There's other. I'm trying to think of like the other, and if you've seen any other villages that were only referenced once. I think the map covers everything there, though. Another interesting thing I found when just looking at the map was just how many volcanoes Ninjago had. They don't like to reuse those.
They don't know. I think the location for the what's it called? It's the Boiling Sea, which was the old village, sea. It's kind of, is it kind of by the claw, I think, like the dragon claw. That, of course, that's from
oh, okay, I see it.
It's near
Torchfire Mountain? Yeah.
Torchfire Mountain, yeah. So Torchfire Mountain was also in only one episode. So.
Yeah. I found it weird that they had to create an entirely new mountain for that episode. They didn't just use the fire temple again or whatever.
I forget, where's Hiroshi's Labyrinth from?
It's a couple of seasons, mostly seasons 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Also season 6. Yes, season 6 Skybound.
Hiroshi's
Labyrinth is another weird location that's not totally like fleshed out.
Yeah. Now that is pretty accurate because in Rebooted, the ninja split up. Lloyd and Garmadon went to the Samurai X cave to get the vehicles and gear they needed, and then they said they were going to drive in the complete opposite direction of Ninjago City, which led them to Hiroshi's Labyrinth, as you can see on the map.
Okay.
Now, they couldn't really go much farther than Hiroshi's Labyrinth, and they do end up going to a cliffside at the very end of that episode. So it's kind of weird how that works out really well, but it works out.
Now, something else I debated for a long time on this map, an interesting thing is that parts of Ninjago had to have been flooded within the last 300 years. Because the Destiny Bounty location was found in the Western Sea of Sand. Not far from the monastery, which we know could not have been underwater because the monastery looks the same from the flashback of Garmadon getting bit to the pilot episodes.
Well, I think Garmadon and Wu were not at that monastery.
No, I went back and compared. It's exactly the same.
Well, I mean, think about assets.
I mean, that's true.
They had stuff on the outside is to kind of show that it wasn't a rocky area.
That's true. Though, I do see no reason to think it's not the monastery. I do believe they talk about the monastery being built by Wu's father as well. That's why he goes there in Day of the Departed.
Yeah. So, that's iffy. I know in season 11, there is a different location where they are. And I think it's even on the map. Yeah, it is on the map of the original house.
Yeah, that's definitely a different one. People debate whether or not that thing with a spear takes place before or after Garmadon gets bit. I say before.
It might be before, it might be after.
People, they say their legs are taller, but also that's a different animation studio.
Yeah.
So, just because I still think that it's canon that they are at this monastery of Spinjitsu and Garmadon was bitten. So they would have moved there at some point.
Yeah.
So we know they had to move there at some point either way. Because if the first Spinjitsu master built that place, or maybe it was like a summer home or something, it was in the Desert of Doom.
Yeah.
But either way, we know that also Ninjago City, that was like the area where the first Spinjitsu master split the continent into two. Because that's where all the stone warriors are underground still. So we know that wasn't underwater at one point, but at some point between that and when Captain Soto crashed the ship, the Western Sea of Sand at least was an ocean.
Yeah. There was an abandoned city or abandoned village near where the Destiny's Bounty was found with a ninja. So my guess is that was kind of like a port town that was abandoned.
Yeah, because we know in the episode, I went back and watched that too. Like they referenced they're supposed to be heading towards the Dark Island, but No-Eyed Pete just steered them back to the coast. And in fact, the mountain they crash into looks a lot like the shape of the mountain by the Samurai X cave.
Yeah,
which would line up pretty well actually. Because that also makes sense in why Nia put the Samurai X cave there, because Samurai X came around the time that they got the Destiny's Bounty and were building all of that stuff there.
She probably had a base there the whole time. We just didn't know it.
But what I wonder then is something happened in 300 years to dry up an entire sea.
True.
Who's the guy who chugged the ocean?
Badland Chugs.
Yeah, Badland Chugs.
No!
Yeah, there's Billy Badlands on this map too. So Badland Chugs must have chugged that baby.
Oh my gosh. I mean,
did it through a safety straw.
But I was thinking that could be an interesting thing if they ever go back and explore it. It's something I doubt they will, but I just find it fascinating, like all these little bits of history that are all over Ninjago.
Oh yeah, there's a lot. I mean, 10 years of content, and it just keeps building.
I wonder are they ever going to make like a concurrent book or volume of like the history or lore of Ninjago? Have they done that yet or no?
Secret World of Ninjago, sort of, though I don't think it ended up being completely canon.
Yeah, the issue is that if they do, it won't be very canon because the people who write it are not the show writers, they're not the people who are involved with the show.
Before Ninjago ends, I'd love it if they released History of Ninjago book.
Yeah,
I don't think it'll end anytime soon, though.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to end anytime soon, according to Lego's last sales meeting. But
So I think a book like that exists. It's just not released to the public.
Yeah, the story Bible. They're just like Bionicle Head.
Mm-hmm. So, but we'll see. Maybe they will if Ninjago is ended or completely rebooted.
I really hope when Ninjago is ending that they give like a sufficient enough warning that we wrap everything up before.
We kind of know instead of like
Bionicle.
Well, I hope they let the creators or writers of the show know that too.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
Like, I'm sure they would know.
Well, like maybe they're like thinking, okay, we'll do another season, but then the executives come in like, no, okay, sales, this has been going on for so long enough, it's not selling as well, we're going to end it now, and then like they have to kind of scrap together an ending out of the season they were not planning to end it on.
They're saving a lot of like the old villains like Pythor and Garmadon for the very end.
Yeah.
Outside of the whole, they don't have the models for them, but
yeah, that makes sense. They don't want to use them and do their story and then be like, okay, now what?
I remember like part of me always thought like when they brought back Garmadon that they were just going to redo, like kind of repudiate the whole light versus dark thing again that they kind of did with Final Battle, but then it wasn't the final one. So
I want to see Garmadon again. Garmadon is so great.
Especially now. I like this.
Garmadon
now he's like ultimate evil. He can't be redeemed.
Well, no, that's not.
He tried.
Well, yeah, they tried.
Or he might have tried, or it was like a Great Devourer situation again. Yeah. It's hard to say.
I wanted that in the movie because if they had made it, instead of, they kind of implied that Garmadon didn't want to be evil. Or maybe didn't want to be good in the movie. But if he had told Lloyd, like in a moment, like heart to heart, it's like, I can't. Because of what happened to me, there is no way for me to be good.
Well, see, that's why
this is just who I am. And they just never had that moment for Lloyd to accept that, which I was like, you're missing it. That was in the show.
That's my big issue with the movie. I've been talking about this for a while. Like, after a while, step back, like, the big issue here is there is no lore at all in the movie, like nothing. It's very surface level with everything.
What do you mean? It has Jackie Chan.
It's very much a parody.
To me, it didn't even seem like it had anything remotely to do with the show. It was just it was made to be the Ninjago movie to the Lego movie, not the Ninjago movie to the Lego Ninjago series, which makes sense. But
I expected that. It's just they could have put a little bit more of the soul of Ninjago.
It was pretty generic. Like they reused so much stuff from the first Lego movie, like the cat gag, except they overdo it like way too much and everything.
Yep.
But yeah, there's like Ninjago. They could still have like similar tones to the Lego movie, but Ninjago was always based on like, you know, these ancient legends and power and stuff, but you don't get any of that in the movie. It's like really just even Garmadon. The reason for him being the way it is, the movie just kind of brushes off as a joke. There's no actual reason for it.
Yeah. He's like,
the whole movie is just jokes.
And then he was like, wait, you were bit by a snake? The snake doesn't have any arms. And he was like, so I was bit by a snake that was bitten by a spider. I'm like, okay. No, I don't like this anymore.
Yeah.
That was still one of the best scenes because they made fun of a lot of stuff. They poked fun at the ages. They did a lot of funny little stuff. They made fun of
fun there still.
Voice, which I still think is a joke for the series. They said that Lloyd is weak voiced.
Ninjago has so much so that it lends itself to like cinematic visuals that they could have used.
Yeah.
Like we don't even get like, again, like the music also in the movie is so subpar compared to the show.
Yes. I don't understand. See, they should have just, because I wanted one time in that movie, like in the epic moment where you hear the Ninjago theme, the theme they've set up for 7 years, just come on in the middle of the theater because no one else really cares. They would be like, oh wow, I love this theme, and all the Ninjago fans are like, this is the theme of Ninjago in the movie, I love it. And then it never happened. They didn't even use.
There's so many mistakes.
The issue is that they did not include anybody who worked on the series. They tried. They had Tommy and the Hagemans on it, and then apparently they made too much noise, or they were too grumpy. So they kicked him off the project.
Which probably more so meant they cared.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, you don't get the feeling of watching the movie anyone cared that much about the characters.
Except up like the animators.
Yeah.
Oh, the animators loved it. They're having a blast.
Yeah,
But
it also doesn't help if you get the making of the Ninjago movie book, because it outlines so many ideas they have.
Oh yeah, but it's like the original
It
idea
just
with
comes
the
off as their,
time
like,
travel
their
stuff.
entire it just comes
Yeah.
off as their like entire development for this movie was so scatterbrained that they just kind of took what they had in the last 6 months before release and just put it together and just shipped it out.
I've talked about this before with like you see like the reels they made to get Jackie Chan like to do the choreography for the movie. The choreography is way better in those reels than in the final product.
Yeah,
I don't think Jackie Chan and his stunt team cared.
There's only 2 fights in the movie: Wu versus Garmadon and the Ninja versus Garmadon. And those fights like lasted. They cut out the baby scene.
Yeah, like that was one of
baby.
The baby scene. There's a bridge scene. Both of those were the ones they made before Jackie Chan got on the project.
And they cut them both, and I'm like, why would you cut the baby scene? That was like finished.
I think they were like really counting on using Jackie Chan as a crutch for a lot of things, and he just was kind of just phoning it in.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. At the time, maybe I'm messing up the timelines, but he had just finished filming. I think like one of the more serious like films he actually really liked at the time. What was it called? It had like Pierce Brosnan in it, but it was something that he was really passionate about. And I imagine like immediately after getting off of that and then kind of like getting swindled into the Lego movie, I don't think he really was too happy about it like at all because of what he had previously been working on either. And and then immediately after the Ninjago movie, if the timeline's correct, he would have really phoned it in and did this huge cash grab movie in Hong Kong with like Arnold Schwarzenegger, where they're not the movie got delayed for like a long time, and they're not even on screen together at all. It's a terrible, terrible film.
Dang.
So that's enough about the movie, though. Let's talk about the good stuff.
Yeah.
So, are we just doing that?
I guess like the main question is like, what do you expect from next year?
Yeah.
We already know we're getting more legacy sets, and I think like the theme for the first part of next year is going to be some kind of like island sort of thing.
Not island, it's like a tribal sort of thing.
Yeah.
It is very tribal, very jungle, is where I think we're headed. I don't really know much beyond that. I'm guessing based off of box art, it's going to be Lloyd, which makes sense because that's like the 10-year anniversary thing. As much as we are all hoping and praying for a Nia thing, she should be coming next. She's after the whole like Cole needs a season. We got Cole. Cole's handled. He's great. He had an amazing season, if not one of the best seasons Ninjago's ever had. Thank goodness. Now it's Nia's turn. She definitely deserves one.
I think at this point Zane needs another season too.
He does.
Zane's character has just gotten no love since season 3.
The poor guy. His own like season or his own chapter, and he's the villain that doesn't really exist for the entire time. And everything else is pulled for gags. And
there's some cool stuff in the ice chapter. Like I really liked it, but I felt like there could have been stuff that was developed into something a lot more heavy.
Yeah, it could have definitely gotten crazy at the end, but they rushed the ending pretty badly. I did like a lot of the stuff that they did though. The crag stuff with Cole. Learning ice, even though that had no payoff.
Yeah.
There's the Lloyd's whole thing with Akita was amazing. That was so well paced, and their like relationship / like friendship was really done really well. They were so funny. Akita was hilarious. She was really, really, really great. But I felt like the whole thing with Zane was they could have done more with it. Like he's
been reduced too much to a joke in a lot of parts since he's come back as Titanium Zane, and that bugs me because there's a lot of like they reference this briefly in the Fire chapter too. Like Zane's worried about like how human is he at this point, and I feel like that's a really good question to be exploring with Zane at this point. Like something I wish they would have always gotten, like when Zane came back, was that really Zane?
Yeah, he talked about it for like a second.
I know, yeah, like they're like where he said he's just a replica, and Tournament of Elements, and they don't really pick up on it. I think that's a really interesting area to explore because they explore it more like Tic Tac is still one of my favorite episodes of Ninjago because just that emotional part where Zane finds out he's a robot. And I just remember watching as a kid too, and like everyone talking about it that I knew. It was like, what? Everyone, people were like, it made people feel so much during that time. Like, what? Zane is a robot? Like, no, I don't want that. And people came to accept it, but you actually had to kind of go through that journey with Zane at the time, and that was really great.
This is the character that I've grown to love, and all of a sudden, like, he's not who I thought he was, but he is there a way that he can be, and him growing that, and then him reaching his true potential is like, yes, I'm so happy for him. He's like, he discovered who he was, and he took it, and he went with it, and it's great. And he had that stuff in Rebooted where he was kind of like, who, you know, it's not about numbers, it's about family. He went back to, he probably hyper focused on being a robot so much that he forgot to be human at the same time, which he started the series off as. And now he's too scared that he's too human. He's very much a jokester now, which is kind of uncomfortable in certain moments. Like I loved his episode where he was a detective. I thought that was so well done, but it's also like, wow, he's being like, there's a reason why he's doing it. He can do these voices probably because number one, he's voiced by Brent Miller, who's amazing, but also two, because he can just pull off voices because he's a robot. But it's also like, he has the ability to do this, just like to consider becoming a detective and doing all this to find his friends. Like, it feels very human. And of course, Pixel kind of commented on it, and she started doing it, which was very funny. So he definitely needs a little bit more of like who he is right now. So.
Yeah, I feel like Zane does not deserve just to be a joke character because he's like has one of the best arcs in the show, and Zane is still my favorite ninja, so I don't want him to just be put in the background forever.
See, a good way for him to talk about Zane and his like role in the team is a soft reboot where the ninja's kids become the main characters, because Zane isn't aging.
Oh, that would be so great.
He would be the connection. He would have his friends be the senseis, but he's also now the friends of their kids. So it's kind of a weird thing for him. It's like, well, I'm immortal, so I guess is a thing that I'm just going to be around here forever, be the master of ice forever. Maybe he would want to retire at some point, how he would retire, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
And that's another thing. Like, would he be able to give away his power and live?
If the power was given to him, I'm guessing he could give it away.
He can give it away.
But
I don't know how. That's a fantastic
really hope
question.
We get a time skip like that at some point in Ninjago. If it is evergreen, we can only spend so long with the same character before it starts to really feel like we're retreading stuff. I'm not saying that's anytime soon, but if Ninjago goes on like another 5 years, I really hope they would consider that. I know that's like a big thing that hurts TV shows when they do that. But it could be worth the risk if, rather than letting the show go stale.
Yeah. So I think it's worth, instead of, I mean, of course, the other thing is you completely reboot it. You go back to square one.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Hi, I'm Kai. I'm 11 years old.
Oh, no, please, no. I would be so mad. Ninjago, again, like, the lore is my favorite part, and I don't want to just get rid of all that. There's so much room in this world for other characters besides Ja.
Yeah. No, Liam, don't say that you'll jinx it. Look at the current landscape of film and TV. No one will ever move past the main characters of whatever original source you're going off of. It'll always be a reboot of the same characters over and over again, or a continuation. It'll always be like that, Liam.
But I mean, Star Wars did it.
Yeah, Star Wars did it. Pretty much every Disney property doing it. I don't know.
So it's definitely possible, but they would have to do it very carefully.
I don't think it'd be done carefully at all.
Again, though,
comparing it to Star Wars, at least.
You were saying before, a good argument for how they could make the time skip work, though, is since they could still have Zane as part of the main team at that point.
Yeah.
That would be that connection.
Lloyd probably doesn't need a kid. I mean, he's probably already scarred enough. So you just have 2 kids, 2 from Jay and Nia, You got Kai has one, and then Cole has one. So, and then one thing that I joked around with other people was like, "Y'all, is that too many characters? Okay, kill Cole."
I mean, not all the ninja have to be consistent characters at that point either.
Yeah.
It could just be, like someone like, I'd almost say just like, what if it was just Zane being the sensei at that point? Like, and then they sent all their kids off to train with Zane.
And Lloyd, Zane, Lloyd. Kai and Nia kind of hopping every time to time again. Jay's the same way.
And it'd be cool to see, like, if, answer the question, like, would there ever be a need for another green ninja after Lloyd is gone?
Yeah. Because the Green Ninja prophecy is over. Like, there's no need for a Green Ninja.
There could always be another, though.
There could always be another. There could also be more prophecy. There could be more something. I don't know.
Yeah, because we know prophecy, Cloud Kingdom still exists, and they're the ones that create the prophecy, which is ambiguous, but kind of cool, I think, still. But
yeah.
So they could still say, because they originally wrote the Green Ninja prophecy, I believe it was implied like when the Overlord rose up. Then they wrote the prophecy to counter him, and they decided it would be Lloyd. So if they see another threat coming, they could say a new Green Ninja is going to rise up to fight this. So
yeah.
But as far as just next season goes, I'm interested in seeing what the tribal thing will be. I don't expect it to be like a really big season. I'm guessing it's going to be like a side quest thing like the last few have been.
Yeah. I hope that things are building back up to something that is like the same level of Sons of Gromdon and Hunted. I think that they're on the path for it. They mentioned a Vengestone buyer.
Yeah, okay, you caught that too then. Me and Kevin were talking about that. They're like,
they're building to something. I'm curious.
Thought it might be Garmadon buying it, but I'm not sure.
I think
I was thinking Garmadon, but does Garmadon have that much money?
Of a major villain for another season, like it has to be something, Yeah, it can't be just like a throwaway thing.
Yeah, they wouldn't have mentioned if it wasn't important. So there's something happening.
Hunted.
In a way. That's the other thing. What is Vengestone? Vengestone stops elemental powers. How?
You know what's interesting? We now know, apparently almost all of Vengestone comes from Shintaro, it sounds like. That is very close to where the Oni came to Ninjago. So that could actually lead more towards, like, the lore of what happened, like, with the Oni and the Overlord and how that all ties together, and maybe something coming back to that.
All right.
There are still those like subtle hints that the Overlord is still a presence.
The Overlord cannot die.
Yeah,
Zane kind of shut him up.
I do wonder if the Overlord could die or not, because the first Spinjitsu Master could die.
I'm
wondering. Okay, here's just a theory I'm throwing out. I'm wondering if, like, the Overlord was like, the dark version of the first Spinjitsu Master. Could it be then, like, if as Lloyd got older and grew to be a more prominent figure, that the Overlord would gain power and, like, become, like, the alternate to Lloyd?
That could be something that could happen. That's actually a good point. Because there has to be a balance. Ninjago... Well, I say that. One of the biggest lines from Hunted, which kind of stuck with me, was, or maybe it was March of the Oni. I forget when Garmadon said it, but he said, Ninjago is not built on balance. It's built on power. And who has it? The realm of Oni and Dragon was built on balance. That's why I'm guessing it looks like a barren wasteland, because the Oni are gone. The balance doesn't exist there anymore, which is why it's kind of like in ruins. Now, Ninjago, however, the first Spinjitsu Master did not want that balance. He escaped the balance and tried to take it over, but then in doing so created the Overlord, and balance just happened to work itself out. So, but Ninjago was still made to be built on power. That was the original intent of the first Spinjitsu Master.
Yeah, that is interesting, because like the Green Ninja and the Overlord and everything, that was never part of the plan for the first Spinjitsu Master.
Yep, he just wanted to create a world and escape the balance and being torn in between the dragons and Onis. Because there's importance in both. The Oni are not necessarily bad. They're not evil. They're just masters of destruction, and destruction is important for creation because that creates the cycle of life. But they're inherently evil because destruction just seems like a bad thing.
And as we saw with like Mistake, because they choose to be evil.
They choose to be evil. They choose to do evil things,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not necessarily evil.
Though also you get to wonder, what are the repercussions to like the ninja just wiping out an entire race of beings?
Yeah,
like
that.
Remember when the repercussions just to them like destroying the cursed realm? They killed a lot of races. Probably we don't even know how many races there were in Ninjago that probably are extinct now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't imagine you could destroy the Oni and there's no repercussions to that.
Yeah. So there, maybe we'll see.
But yeah, I've been enjoying like kind of taking a break and doing some side stories here, just because it makes the big events more important. But I have gotten the feeling too it's time to start getting towards a big event again.
Yeah, and I think we're making our way there. I know. I think it was mentioned somewhere 2022 is going to be a big year for Ninjago. So
I'm looking forward to it. And I want to remind people, I think I just finally released the episode when we talk about the leaked set list, but it's only going to be a few weeks now till we get pictures of the Tournament of Elements set and the Overlord Dragon set, which are things I've wanted for so long. We're finally going to get them. I'll finally complete, or almost complete, I think I want to have the Master of Form still, but the Elemental Master Collection.
It's funny, I was actually talking to Josh, because Josh is also like huge with the Elemental Masters, and I was like, because I think Kai's in the set, and Camille once became Kai.
Oh.
And I would have laughed so hard if they put like Kai on the box, but underneath the minifigure it just says Camille.
Oh boy.
Like, see, that's like a respect move. I'm like, I respect you for making that joke, but we still want the minifigure.
I know. So I wanted like Lobo and darn, who is the Master of Sound? Jacob. For so long there, he was my favorite. I honestly forgot Gravis didn't have a minifigure for a long time.
You know what would be funny? If they made that Kai minifigure with the new like face print, and then the other side of the head was Camille. It was just like a straight up Camille face.
That would be fun.
That'd be funny.
That would be fun. I doubt they'll do it though.
I mean,
but hey, we're getting the Overlord Dragon, which has been like my #1 wanted set for like 8 years.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how big it's gonna be, so
I don't care as long as it's a dragon.
I just want that purple and black dragon, a polybag Overlord.
We actually have gotten a polybag purple and black dragon before, but his label is the Moro Dragon, which is weird because the Moro Dragon is blue and green.
Yeah, it's definitely very ghostly green.
Well, if you want a purple and black dragon, just go to the Minecraft line. They got one for you.
No, it has to be an official Overlord Dragon. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so glad Legacy is continuing next year with like more sets that we have not gotten before, rather than just reboots of older sets, because there's so much in Ninjago. Speaking of it, we're over time here, so we should probably wrap up soon, but I really wish we would have gotten Shintaro-based sets too, because there's so much cool architecture there.
Yeah. They missed a lot in Master of the Mountain, cough, the Firestone mech. But we also didn't get any of the Upley.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Yeah, that is really odd. Which
I was even
about this last night, Liam. Yeah. I think instead of putting in like so many repeats of is it the Geckos and the Months?
Yeah.
Okay. Instead of putting in so many repeats of those, they could have put it in the Upley.
Well, the issue with that was that the Geckos and the Months were the conflict on the box.
Yeah.
They made it look like they were the enemies.
Yeah, which makes me think that there's a large disconnect this season between the sets and the scripting for the show. Because, like, we hardly get any of the skeleton, which is, like, the horde enemy of the season. But we have lots of Gekko and Months, though they're all named Gekko and Months. Like, they have, I forget which one which, but they have 2 of each only, too. Which is weird. But yeah, there's a lot of potential, and who knows, maybe eventually we'll get legacy sets for Master of the Mountain. At this rate, while we're getting into Tournament of Elements, I'm really looking forward to seeing what they'll do for possession sets. I know we probably won't get it, but I'd love to see like a Ronin's pawn shop set.
Yeah. Ah, man, Ronin. I want Ronin to come back so bad.
Ronin needs to come back. It hasn't been that long since we've seen him, I guess, like a year and a half.
Yeah.
But it feels like a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And Dareth has been in the background for too long as well. Like,
yeah, he had that one moment in Prime Empire, which was great.
He was in the background in
the Fire Season?
No, not the Fire Season. Prime Empire too. At the very beginning, you can see Dareth back there. So the show never forgets about Dareth, which is why I continue to respect it. But
they just can't let go of him. I mean, yeah, he's still part of the show.
Wait, no! What am I forgetting? They go to Dareth's bar.
The Prime Empire. Yeah, they would go to his bar to find Scott's friend.
Which is kind of funny because I remember again, me and Kevin were watching this, and I'm like, wait a minute, Dareth owns this bar. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden it's like, Dareth, oh yeah, you own this bar.
I still laugh because he got into his costume and he came out with a cardboard cutout of his Spinjitsu. I was like, okay,
also,
okay, that's
fine. Lego, release a brown ninja hood, please.
I'm the brown ninja.
Dareth and Ronan need their own set together with minifigures with proper face prints.
Yes.
I will buy 2 of them. No matter what price.
I know there's a lot of fans wanting a spin-off series with Ronan, Dareth, and Clutch Powers.
Oh boy.
That would be sucked into
Ryan. Clutch Powers is a Ninjago.
That Clutch is my powers.
It's not the Clutch Powers you remember though.
Oh, never mind.
He is very much gritty and doesn't care about anything anymore.
And if there's no burp jokes in relation to Clutch Powers, then I don't want to have anything to do with it.
All right.
That was the first movie I ever bought with my own money, by the way. Yeah, I don't have it anymore, but the DVD, that was the first movie I ever bought physically.
Changing Clutch Powers actually was important to like the canon of Ninjago, though, so they separated it from the Clutch Powers universe. Because otherwise, it creates a lot of questions.
Yeah.
All these new, Zoomer Lego fans, they don't got a clue. Like the first Lego movie, yeah, we all remember that.
All right. Before we go, let me just check on live chat here, see if anyone mentioned anything.
Wait, YouTube
talked about the Geneva Convention, genocide. And,
I can confirm the Geneva Convention does not exist in Ninjago because that's another thing.
They would have
on the entire planet. We don't know if there's another continent outside of Ninjago, which would be an interesting thing to explore someday.
What if there's just another continent and everything's just totally normal there until they go over and screw it all up? Like it's just like normal, peaceful, whatever. They got Joe Biden as president, and then like the ninja come over and totally screw everything up.
Well, I mean, the funny thing with Ninjago is that you can tie most of it back to Lloyd releasing the snakes from the tomb.
Mm-hmm.
If he hadn't have done that,
Lloyd killed millions of people.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a funny thing that Sons of Garam confirmed that off-screen deaths were very much a thing.
Yep. Oh my gosh. I recently watched the last few episodes of season 1 with a couple of friends, and we were like eating popcorn and like watching the snake hit buildings in the episode, and we would see it like wrap around a building, and we would like do the Leo DiCaprio meme of like pointing. Like, is that it? Is that
like that?
That's yeah.
Honestly, it would have been so great to see the Great Devourer fight in like the later Will film animation style. That's again like something. The Great Devourer was basically supposed to be in the Ninjago movie too, and that would have been so great to see.
Imagine a giant live-action snake as the villain instead of a giant live-action cat. That would have been terrifying. Oh my gosh. And also
they may have tried to do that, but like snakes are notoriously hard to train to do like anything except be lazy.
It would be animated. I mean, did you know that Meowth was animated?
Yeah, sadly, yes.
There are moments where you can tell, and there are also moments you're like, that's green screen. Wait, it's not? What?
Either way, it didn't look good if it was real or not.
Yeah. But yeah, a giant. I mean, they would CGI a giant snake, but I think they could have done it pretty well.
I think that would have looked worse, to be honest.
Really?
In concept, it would have been better, but like visually, I think it just like there's so much going on with the snake. I feel like the budget would have been stretched even.
Snake would have been nice too.
Probably be it would probably be at night. Is my guess. They would never have it in IRL.
Speaking of that, Legacy sets, we need a Legacy Great Devourer because the original one sucks.
We do need a Legacy.
It was weird that they didn't include one with the four-headed dragon.
It's because they already beefed the dragon up so much in that set, they did not have the bricks to do it.
Yeah. It'd be nice to have a
set right here, sitting on my computer.
Nice. I have a Zane's Mino creature across from me.
I've got that one over there. I've got all of the Ninjago movie mechs right there. There's Zane's Titan mech, the new Golden mech, the Fire and Stone mech, the new Destiny's Bounty, the movie's Destiny Bounty, all within hand's reach of me.
Dang, dude.
You know, it's awesome being an adult and having a good job that gets you money.
Yeah, I love my adult money, so I can pay.
I will say your collection does look impressive in person.
I was thinking the other day though, I picked a really good time to be an adult with a good job because the Lego sets today are so much better than they were when I was a kid.
Whoa! Like Bionicle, Mars Mission,
the new Ninjago sets are better.
The new Ninjago sets are better than anything Bionicle ever presented itself.
Oh! Whoa! There's some fighting words.
Now, there are a few non-Ninjago things I have displayed here for Lego, and that is the Hobbit and Unexpected Journey, the Toa Metru, the Toa Nika, and the Toa Mata. Oh, and all my Bionicle vehicles. The Bionicle still holds up with Ninjago to me, but like 80% of what's on display in my room is Ninjago.
Nice.
You could say that it's because of favoritism, though.
True. I have seen an impressive Bionicle display. It is very much jaw dropping.
Well, Bionicle's mostly good for the story. I was never a huge fan of the sets personally. I just like the story behind it.
Also, really real quick, Joshua Deck does mention that there are already electronics in the Destiny Bounty when they found it. I did not notice that, but I'll have to go back and look and then rethink some of my theory. Though, I would still like to find out more about the Sea of Sand possibly being an ocean at one point, because generally deserts are places that are covered in water at one point. So, but yeah, I thank you for pointing that out, because I would like to look into that more. And in which case, there's a whole nother question. Who had the Destiny Bounty between the Soto and the Ninja? And how'd they get it out from underneath the ocean? Let's see.
Oh, also,
Envy says, deserts... don't bring up Cloud Kingdom. I'm going to bring it up. Everything must be there in canon.
Some deserts, though, can be formed. I can't remember which ones are, but they're formed because there are mountains made out of a certain kind of very dissolvable material, and it's incredibly windy in those areas.
Okay, which would also make sense geographically for this, because all the deserts are right next to mountains.
Traditionally, I think the bigger deserts are usually filled with bodies of water before, but like what really makes the desert process happen is like high winds and just extreme.
I wanted to go and analyze like all the skeletons we see in the desert and see if any of them look aquatic.
Aquatic, like piratey?
No, like fish.
Fish skeleton? Oh, I thought you meant like the normal human skeleton. Like, all right, I guess you got
aquatic human skeleton.
Like, what makes the human skeleton more aquatic if it's like?
I need to go and see what the bones that make up the Samurai X cave, like what those actually are.
I was reviewing those. It seems to be some sort of winged creature.
Okay.
Envy says prophecies are dumb. Are they?
Who said that?
Envy.
Envy's not a believer.
Prophecies are what it kind of contains stories.
Prophecies are cool, but only if you break them. If you follow prophecies, they're incredibly boring. The point is breaking the prophecies or exposing that it's a lie or to manipulate people, whatever. You just
I want a plot where Dareth goes on revenge to Cloud Kingdom.
Yeah, he goes to Cloud Kingdom. He gets revenge on Darth Vader for cutting off Luke Skywalker's hand. Oh wait, wrong cloud. Never mind.
I get it.
And also, Waj did mention, however the latest season's been, they've been good. Watch them.
Yeah, I was gonna ask before this ends. What do you guys think? For those who just watched it, what are your thoughts?
It's pretty good.
Of the last 2 seasons of I guess the soft reboot of the show with the 11-minute episodes, Prime Empire for me is the highlight.
Oh yeah,
that season.
Superstar Rockin' J is my favorite episode of Prime Empire.
Superstar Rockin' J, the League of
That was
J.
the most hilarious thing I've seen. Who voices that J from League of J? He's awesome.
Yeah. But for me though, I really vibed with Okino. I am Okino. I have purpose. I do all of these things, and then by the end of the episode, I'm Okino. Whatever, man.
But that's the mood of 2020 right there.
Oh.
Yeah, I definitely feel like as this soft reboot has gone on, they found their footing more. The Fire chapter started off strong, and I feel like it got weak towards the end. Ice chapter was a lot better, but I felt it could have been developed more. Prime Empire was really good. I felt like that was pretty consistently solid.
Yeah, I'd say Prime Empire of the 3, or I guess 4 kind of arcs of this new series is probably the strongest.
I like Master of the Mountain because it has more lore, though.
Yeah. It's interesting because over in TTV land, we hate Prime Empire because we're wait, you guys are missing important information to the series and just kind of brush over it like it doesn't really matter, and the whole science of the game doesn't make sense to people. And the biggest thing that slapped me in the face, which is kind of a pro and a con at the same time, is when Jay was like, I was abandoned too. My parents did the bill, and he went on and on about that. And I'm I literally sat forward and I was like, wait, whoa, stop. Where did this come from? I was literally, it was a slap to the face. I was if they had hinted at that earlier in the season, I could have maybe seen it coming.
I do think the ending was a bit rushed, but overall,
I felt like it. I feel like Prime Empire. That's why I said Master of the Mountain better, because I feel like it's a stronger story. But Prime Empire is just a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it.
Prime Empire was a lot of fun. Master of the Mountain, I think, was the only. Well, the Fire chapter also really stuck the landing, but Master of the Mountain really stuck the landing, which I thought was really, really good. And they even released a script for how they wanted to end it, but they didn't have time to. And it was oh, that just sounds so beautiful. But of course, they didn't have time to put it in there because it's Cole. But yeah, it was overall that one.
I would rank them probably, I think, Ice chapter, Master of the Mountain, Prime Empire, then Fire chapter.
Cool.
Fire chapter got boring to me at points, and I feel like not a lot happened in the end.
Yeah.
No, we did get some interesting lore, and I like that about it, but I feel like there's a lot of filler too. They're experimenting with a lot of different types of filler, and some of it worked, some of it didn't.
Yeah.
But Prime Empire, like I said, is a lot of fun. I have my issues with that one as well. It's not in my top Ninjago seasons, but it was a lot of fun, and the humor really stuck with me there. Master of the Mountain had a lot of lore. Ice chapter, even though it's undeveloped, I just feel like it had a really solid concept, and the atmosphere is great, and I love the music so much, and that's a huge part of the season to me.
Oh yeah. Master of the Mountain.
I mean, personally, I think Master of the Mountain first and foremost. Prime Empire, Ice chapter, it just disappoints me that they have such a good concept, but then they don't do that much with it. Then Fire chapter, I just feel like it was too much of them finding their footing and not enough of them understanding what they needed to do necessarily. Just
like I said, it felt like they knew what they were doing before they even told us what they were doing. And I was and also some of there were shorts that they put on YouTube of Jay when he first entered the game that wasn't part of the series, and I was
I forgot about those. I only
and
saw
now I have to watch something else.
That reminds me, I still need to sync you Wus
T-shot. There are some special shorts. Though those are like literally directly for the series. And I feel like, why is this not in the show?
Could it well, how long are they usually?
They were about 3 to 5 minutes each.
Why didn't they just put them all into just crunch them into to put it on
Netflix? There was one that was the episode. It was an episode length if you put them together, and it literally goes from the end of one leads into the start of the next.
I wonder if they had to cut an episode and they just released it like that.
Yeah. So it was such a big idea for 16 episodes of 11 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
I know there are other things that they wanted to do, like have Jay's mom be a part of it more. Like they originally had her working with Dyer, but they cut that out of it.
That would have given me a lot of information on the timeline too. All right. Yeah, that does sound interesting. I will say though, we have been getting a lot more Ninjago content per year lately, and I've been very grateful for that.
It's very, very nice. We're getting a lot of stuff really fast, which I'm enjoying.
We get something any day now. We're gonna get more information on 2021, and I'm really excited.
Congratulations to Ninjago for making 10 years this January.
That's one thing I forgot I wanted to mention before we go. I've completed my collection of Ninjago collectibles, finally getting the last of the Departed Blades. And that includes, I even mocked a Departed Blade for, the sort of Sanctuary, which which Moro has in the show, but they never released in the set. Because now that we got, Prime Empire, we got that blade in the same translucent color as the gem. So I could finally make it.
Nice. Wonderful. That's awesome. Congratulations, dude.
Thank you. And I also have almost all the ninja except for the Burst variants. Those are the last of the ninja I need. I bought... darn, you've got me on another tangent. No, and by you, I mean I got myself on this tangent. But I just paid $20 for that exclusive Teen Woo and that European book, which I forget the name of, which I don't even like the figure at all, but I have to get every minifigure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a sickness.
Which I just need the latest version of Woo as well, and the dragon, and then I'll have, every minifigure.
That's insane.
Just in time for the next year sets to come out.
Until the next wave, and I think there's going to be one set in particular you're going to need to get, because that's going to be a lot of minifigures, but we'll see.
I want to see it. All right. Well, thank you everyone who's tuned in. We went over time, but honestly, I could still be talking about Ninjago for hours and hours at this point.
Yes, you all are turning.
Seriously, he has.
No, one of my favorite things to do is just go through Bricklink, and then while we're on call, and just talk about every set as I go through, and relating all the small stuff in the show and not, and if I owned it or if I wish I had owned it. I don't know. I love talking about Ninjago. I could go on it forever. So we'll definitely have to do this again, Hayley. It was awesome having you on, and hopefully we can have you on in the future again, especially when we get more Ninjago stuff coming out here in the future, and as I develop more of this timeline stuff.
Hopefully there'll be more to talk about in the future.
Yeah.
So Ninjago excited.
All right, and of course, everyone watching, if you have any comments on Ninjago, questions, stuff you'd like us to talk about in the future, please leave a comment as well. We'll take that into account for future episodes. This is our second live stream episode. I have no idea how YouTube's been performing the entire time. We've had some people that have been consistent in the chat here, and I thank you for that. Some people in Discord said they've still had trouble watching the episode, and I apologize we couldn't get it there. Hopefully the recorded version of it is fine, and hopefully YouTube doesn't break again next week. Alright, so for Ford, Malurs, Orion, myself LQ, and our guest Hayley, we thank you for listening, and we